G'day YouTube, how the heck we doing? It is Foul Play here and welcome back for some more modern action. Lately I've been finding myself wanting more and more sideboard slots. I've been finding myself using like options in the sideboard as 2-ofs and just not really hitting them during the game. I want to make more room in the sideboard and I'm going to be doing that today by playing 3 Leyline of Sanctity in the main deck. In addition to this, I'm also going to be cutting one of the Besieges out of the main deck and just bringing us down to 1 copy in the 75. So for the Besieges, we're going to be adding in a Plains, which is going to be really nice. And to make room for the 3 Leyline of Sanctities, we're going to be cutting 1 Spider Umbra, taking us down to 1 copy, 1 Griffspoon, taking us down to 3 copies, and 1 Sentinel's Eyes, taking us down to 2 copies. So as far as the sideboard is concerned, we have got the 4th Leyline of Sanctity there. We've still got 2 copies of Solitude, and we've kept our 3 copies of Sanctify and Vec. Force of Vigor has gone from 2 to 3 copies. Gadok Teague has gone from 2 to 3 copies. Collector Roof is at 2, but we're also including a Stony Silence as well for the situation where we want Stony Silence against like a non-Tron deck that has removal. Alright, that's the deck, guys. Let's get into the league. Okay, so here we are for match number 1. We won the die roll. This hand is a reluctant keep, just mostly off the fact we've only got one of our mana sources here. Versing Risen Winterblade. Hopefully we can find a land that also doesn't hurt us quite so much, but we are ramping into a nice turn 3 Daybreak Coronet, which would be very handy. Never mind, once again I've started the league, but while blocking it off with my deck list, looks like we're versing a potential Merfolk deck here. This is great. We just get to like double Ethereal Armor and set up for Daybreak next turn. With that, an attack for 5 is going to be really good here. Alright, there's our opponent playing that Otawara, so we do have to be a little bit aware of Hexcatcher here, coming in, countering our spells. I think we're in like a perfectly fine spot here to just look to like double Aura, attack through. I don't think we want to quite give up Daybreak Coronet just yet. Alright, so they let our Spider Umbra resolve as well after thinking for a little bit. I'm going to attack for 11. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a chump block of some description here, or do they just take it? Alright. Vial, is this Dockhand or the Tide Shaper? It's Dockhand. Alright, so Dockhand works quite nicely with the new Deep Root card at 2 mana that gens tokens whenever something becomes tapped, because they'll like deny mana. Yeah, so there's a Vodalian Hexcatcher there that we were playing around. Sacrifice a non-Merfolk you control, counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. So not playing Daybreak Coronet into that, not losing our tempo. Yep, so there's the Deep Root Pilgrimage. This makes chump blockers for our opponent. Attacking for 1. Alright, so theoretically here we want to see sources of evasion. These Merfolk tokens are going to be able to block us out all day. Hopefully Griffspoon into just like mana. Alright, so now they're denying our lands, sure. It's going to be hard because we haven't got Vigilance down yet. Find a land source. Vial on 2 cards in hand. So our opponent can generate a token every turn with Deep-Root Pilgrimage and Rishidan Dockhand. I think we actually need to take a turn off here and just not attack at all and just start blocking potentially. Looking to chain runner auras into each other. Like runner evasive aura. Opponent attacking with both of these. Interesting. Definitely block one of them. Alright, so that puts us at 14. Opponent at 4. I don't see a huge reason to crack this Windswept Heath just yet. Alright, so opponent animating Mutavault. They can actually tap Mutavault for mana, triggering this again. Yeah, cool. So they're floating 1 mana, using the Dockhand to... Oh, they're animating the second Mutavault. They use the Mutavault mana to activate the Dockhand, and they'll just get an army of tokens. Tapping down our Razor Verge Thicket. We find Audacity. Great. So next turn, we can potentially double aura here. If we play like any one aura, it's just going to get eaten up by this ridiculous amount of resources that our opponent has. We can't really play Daybreak Coroner either. Yeah, this is just a weird spot. What might actually be good is getting like another Bogle on the board and having multiple blockers. This is really hard to interact with at the moment. Alright, Vial up to 3 this time. Opponent attacking with all their silly tokens. Now the tokens don't trigger Deep Root Pilgrimage. But they're also, you know, hitting us for a sizable amount of damage there. Another Dot Can, so it goes from bad to worse. Alright, end step. Let's get rid of this land. Temple Garden intapped. Alright, so opponent doing the Mutavault, Deep Root Pilgrimage trick again. All that fun stuff. Tapping down our Razor Verge Thicket. We just have to accept that. So I'm not really sure how we get out of this position. I guess we're dead to like attacks, so I guess we'll just see if our opponent skipped through after countering the Daybreak Coronet. Looks like they're paying patiently, and as long as they suck to counter, alright, we'll concede the match. Okay, so this is likely a list that our opponent would be playing something similar to. We can see actually pretty sick tech here in Riptide Laboratory, returning a wizard to its owner's hand so they can chain these Tristana Trickbinder triggers together. We can see Deep Root Pilgrimage there, which did all that work that game and blocked us out of existence. In the sideboard, looks like we got Ratchet Bombs, Force and Negations, maybe Dismembers to be concerned about. Alright, so here we... don't know why that shifted across. Here we want to get rid of Leyline of Sanctity. I feel like we actually want Force of Vigor to deal with both the Vial and the Pilgrimage. Solitude seems optional, but I'm not really sure what to cut for it. Good thing about Solitude is it would be able to answer our opponent's Merfolk that sacrifices any Merfolk to make us pay 1, or it counters a non-creature spell, forgetting the name. Bad side is it's really bad against their Trickbinder. Ratchet Bomb's a problem as well, so like Spirit Mantle there. It's possible like Audacity out. Maybe 1 Spirit Mantle out. Seems a bit weird. We'll go with that. A classic, no creature hand. We'll be mulliganing. This is a little bit better. We can get turn 2 Rancor, which is nice. We have to say goodbye to one of our creatures, which is a green pitch card for Force, but I think we're fine with that. Alright, so semi-decent looking 5. Sorry, 6, pardon me. Really? Our opponent's packing the subtlety. Well, I guess that's on top. Seems bizarre to me, but it delays us a whole turn. Opponent exiling Master of the Pearl Trident to do that. Ether Vial from them. Alright, take 2, our Bogle resolves, Ethereal Armor resolves. Light Paws off the top for us. Does that change anything? I think that's fine. I think we probably wait on our action to resolve the Light Paws as well. We can use that to get a Vigilance effect. Probably going to be our next best thing. So we'll play this second main. If we didn't hit Light Paws there, I would probably run our Rancor out. It does play into Vial plus other creature, and then we can pay for 1 but not both. I think it's worth trading 2 creatures almost for Rancor there. It denies a bit of tempo. Alright, opponent with Deep Root Pilgrimage now. Activating Vial. So I think we want to respond to this and just deny blow, and then they can't counter our effect here. So saying goodbye to Rancor is a bit unfortunate, but I think denying this whole like tap down affair that we had last game is going to be pretty important here. Trickster tapping down our Light Paws. That's fine. They get him 1 point of damage. Alright, come on Aura, not Aura. That's a bit lame. Attack for 2. Now, Besage only costs 1 mana for us to activate. Just remember that one. Sorry. Targeting Temple Garden, floating the green mana. I think we actually destroy our own our own Temple Garden here. It has to be one we don't control. Interesting. Do we want to take out Mutavault now while we can? Sure. This could actually ramp our opponent into a Lord effect. Opponent attacking with both these guys. No blocks from us, so we'll take the 4. It's fine. Aura off the top, please. White aura off the top. Let's go, deck. Perfect. White aura off the top. Moment of truth. Does their opponent have Hex Catcher? He's packing a null? What the heck, man? That's ridiculous. Who plays this card these days? I guess they're concerned about Hammer. Our opponent's now the beatdown, and we're going to be on blocking duty. Opponent passing to us. Anything off the top? Not hugely what we're looking for. I guess we'll draw. Sentinel's Eyes. Now that's what we're looking for. Let's go, team. Alright, so here I think we go a white aura. We'll get our Griff Spoon. Not attacking with Light Paws yet. We'll just attack with the Bogle. Oh, our opponent played a land. Are we winning the battle of the top decks here? Is that what's going on? That'd be pretty epic. Attacking with just a Bogle. Opponent chooses to chump block. That Light Paws is dead in hand. Opponent plays Harbinger of Tides. No bounce targets. Let's go, team. Tide Shaper, that's going to be annoying. Going after our other land. We are still pretty far ahead on board. Spider Umbra off top. I think we ignore Spider Umbra. Attack with just 1 still. No blocks from our opponent this time. Opponent passing back to us. Turn 9. Alright. This is probably where we attack with both creatures now. Light Paws has our opponent on a 2-turn clock in the air. Opponent just jumping again. Lovely. Alright, they're down to 3. Can they answer Light Paws and then stabilize on board, dealing enough damage to us? Hey, our opponent concedes. We navigated that by the skin of our teeth, but like in all realisticness, we did top deck better than our opponent. Going into game 3, let's minus out 1 Light Paws, bring back in a Spirit Mantle. Alright, our opponent keeps a 7. We do the same. We have a Bogle to kick things off. Alright, that's enough land. Thank you, deck. At least we're not going to be denied by Tide Shapers anytime soon, maybe. Hold your breath. It's going to happen now that I've mentioned it. Opponent just into Lord of Atlantis here. Interesting. So this was a keep of 7 from them as well. Force of Vigor off the top. Alright, alright. All our pitch cards are being seen here, although we will ignore both of them. That resolves. Does this one resolve? Force of Negation, maybe? No Force of Negation. Alright, so we don't have a trample or an evasion effect on board currently, but at least we've got Vigilance First Strike. That's pretty strong. When it passes with 3 mana up, oh, we see Ethereal Armor. So Tidebinder counters activated or triggered abilities. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and throw another Ethereal Armor on our creature here. Opponent would have to pitch 2 creatures and they wouldn't even be able to stop it. So go ahead and do that. I didn't really want to pay the 2 life from Temple Garden there. So attack for 8. Opponent's down to 8. Excellent. We're getting close to hard casting Solitude as well. That's pretty spicy. Hex Catcher from our opponent. Instant speed. 5 in hand. They've not been able to deploy their hand out efficiently here. Sveiloon, sure. Sea Scout off the top. We can attack. Our opponent's creature has got Indestructible, unfortunately. We are working towards removing that one off the table. Yeah, just casual chump blocks. I'm going to play the Temple Garden tapped here. I think we play the Scout on board rather than holding up to Force of Negation. It doesn't look like our opponent's got their enchantment suite currently this match. So I'm not really going to hold up Pitch Force where I can put a body on the board. Opponent not even attacking with Sphaloon there. That just shows strength to us. And we have the potential to 2 for one our opponent. Sphaloon's like a huge block. If we Solitude one of their creatures, then Sphaloon will lose Indestructible, but if they have anything with Flash, then it will regain Indestructible. I think we just want to Solitude the Sphaloon. We'll just go for it outright. Get rid of Sphaloon and then force a chump block with one of these other creatures. Alright, any response from our opponent here? Trickbinder. Opponent's kept it in. Alright, that's pretty strong. Interesting. This loses all text, no longer has lifelink. That's a very expensive dead card, isn't it? I wonder if I'm supposed to play around this. It seems like a weird one for our opponent to keep in. Like, it's only good against Solitude and against the Light Pause trigger. It seems a little bit thin. We find Beside You, so that's a bit of a dead one. We'll continue attacking, making our opponent spend clock. I don't see our creature getting blown out, but hey, it could potentially happen at some point. Still, we can first strike damage to the Lord first, the other Lord, before any of these other creatures do stuff. So their board state, I don't think, is quite big enough that we're going to get blown out in that spot. Second Hex Catcher from our opponent. Now they're starting to get a bit scary. Hopefully we can find a Griff Spoon and get it past Counter Magic. Opponent, Tide Shaper, our guys. They've got Island Walk, so they're going to be able to start attacking very shortly. Temple Garden, sure. So what's that? 12 damage. That's scary as heck, isn't it? Okay. We go to 8. We need something desperately off the top of our library. That's not really it, is it? This has to target a land an opponent controls, so that's not an out. We can't do this on our own land. Yeah, I think our opponent's just got us here, unfortunately. It's pretty wild. Alright, GG's to our opponent. On to the next match. Match number 2, and we won the die roll again. Versing Tantrum 5. No creature hand, so that one goes back. This one looks good. We will keep it. We've got on the Temple Garden here, in case we need to play around a Blood Moon deck. Also, like, the least painful option of reaching our colors currently. Ragavan, Blackcleave Cliffs. Is this a Jund variant? Sure. So we can... I guess we play around Blood Moon preemptively, thin the deck of the land. I think I'm just gonna... Ethereal Armor... Rancor. We can't really look to block currently. Just because that new, like, Dead Boar instant effect can hit enchantments, right? 1-mana enchantments. Alright, so Urza's Saga. It looks like a Jund Saga deck here currently. Even if our opponent does Blood Moon this turn, with Spirit Mantle, follow up, attack for 7, like, unblockable, we're, like, 2 damage, or like 1 damage off of 2 attacks killing them. That seems like a reasonable spot to be in. Alright, so Ragavan trigger. Opponent is saying he's playing a meme deck. I wonder if this means that they're on like a Gristlebrand deck, like a Graveyard Reanimator. Waste Not. Alright, like ultimate meme deck. So naturally we just draw Rancor, which is probably the best card in that spot. Waste Not is going to be like obscenely bad against our Spirit Mantle. So yeah, we'll just attack. We have him dead on the next attack as well. Opponent no attacks. I guess they did not read Spirit Mantle, but they just concede the match. So maybe they did read Spirit Mantle. Alright, so here we can see a Waste Not deck. This was actually in November this year. We see usual Thoughtseize package. I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent potentially used a Scam package as well. In the sideboard, we see Chalice of the Voids, Engineered Explosives, Blood Moons, Sudden Edict, a whole bunch of gross stuff. Even like an Emrakul as well, although that looks like it's a Mill Hedger as opposed to a Reanimate target. Also in the main deck, I'm noticing like a Magus the Moon Shouldered. Those cards are pretty gross. We're going to be bringing in the 4th copy of a Leyline of Sanctity. I don't think Stony Silence is actually a pretty good hedge against Engineered Explosives. And then it depends on whether or not we want Solitude or a Blood Moon. We probably want Force of Vigor for Blood Moon actually, so we'll leave Solitude out. And maybe we'll remove the Beseiju for the extra Force of Vigor. I think that's reasonable. Opponent is keeping a 7-card hand. No creature, no Leyline, so this one goes back. This got Leyline. Rubbish mana, though. Alright, so go ahead and keep this awful looking hand. Man, this is not good. What 4 would be better? Land, Bogle, or a Leyline? Is that better than just keeping like 2 basic lands and 2 creatures? I think this is our best option, keeping this as a 5. I don't like it though. Opponent turn 1 Ragavan. Okay. Force of Vigor off top for us. I think we're trading Scout with Ragavan. Hoping they don't follow it up with Thoughtseize. Yeah, I like blocking here. We're pretty far behind. We don't have any extra auras. We don't have double white mana. I think we want to slow the game down. If we get blown out by Thoughtseize after they didn't turn 1 Thoughtseize, then that's fine. It's possible this was a top deck. It's possible this was a misplay. I'm not entirely certain. Yeah, just rip it off the top. Yeah, that's pretty cringe on our end, but I guess we'll take it. I don't know what to say about that. Triple black from our opponent. What is triple black, or is this Blood Moon? Mindbreaker, sure. Well, we do have the Force of Vigor. It's not very good at the moment. Let's see if we can work towards some enchantments. That's an enchantment, but we still can't attack. I don't see a world where we pitch that to destroy the Fabled Mirror Breaker or Force. Opponent gets some excellent filtering here, so they will see 3 new cards this turn. Potential Daybreak Coronet gone goodbye. Waste not, Bolt to the bin. That seems reasonable. See if there's like a Thoughtseize effect for Daybreak. 3 black, 4 black, Shouldered. Shouldered is 4, right? No, Turok kicked. That's pretty gross. So when it's kicked, target opponent discards 2 cards, and on the kicker of that one, there's our white land off the top. Alright, we're going to be a bit defensive here, see what we can top deck after. Gleef's Reflection Copy and Turok isn't like a bad thing for us. Opponent continues to generate their value though. 6 puts us to 12. 1 ring, oh god man. That's pretty good, that's pretty strong. This is pretty not strong. We still can't attack, hilariously enough. So opponent just gives Turok haste, and then we're dead on board. So long as they copy their Turok, yeah, we can't do anything about that. Our opponent may be playing around us having like a chump blocking Dryad Arbor or something though. So best to not give anything away. Yeah, see they haven't even activated the Kiki. It's too late to activate it as well. Unless we're just dead to like lightning bolts off the top. Still, we can't block. So exactly 3 life here. 3 cards in hand for our opponent. Card draws off 1 ring. Ragavan. Alright, so literally Daybreak Coronet or bust. Alright, so this is just discard synergy. Gets bigger. Alright, let's crack this one. We'll go searching. I guess we'll get all our basics out. Let our opponent know there's 3 basics. Maybe that's a misplay. Alright, dead draw off the top. We'll concede. Alright, so we saw information of 1 ring. Force of Vigor not good against specifically 1 ring. I feel like it could be good against some of their other stuff. Just because we didn't see that much artifact hate that game, maybe want to bring in a Solitude over a Force of Vigor. Outside of that, maybe like Audacity Cut is fine. That draws a card. Alright, let's crack this one. We'll go searching. I guess we'll get all our basics out. Let our opponent know there's 3 basics. Maybe that's a misplay. Alright, dead draw off the top. We'll concede. Alright, so we saw information of 1 ring. Force of Vigor not good against some of their other stuff. Just because we didn't see that much artifact hate that game, maybe want to bring in a Solitude over a Force of Vigor. Outside of that, maybe like Audacity Cut is fine. That draws a card. Vigilance seems good. Maybe we'll just cut one Spirit Mantle. Cutting Evasion against a deck that spams tokens seems pretty bad to me, but... okay, speaking of bad, I think we can do better than the one lander that looks really average after Thoughtseize. Yeah, sure. This hand is a million times better. We'll bottom one Razorverge Thicket. Still, if our opponent Thoughtseizes us here, we lose our only first strike effect, which I really don't like. Tapping for black mana, lame. So we're going to go digging for first strike. Also Totem Armor. Both those effects could be nice and handy against our opponents. But the good news is we still have an attack for 4. We have evasion, we have vigilance. Just like even a Daybreak Coronet could be really strong for us. This could be indicative of our opponent having explosives in their deck, which honestly would not be a surprise. I had to click Rancor onto my creature and my land for mana like 6 times there. This client's lagging like all heck. I'm going to throw a restart in between this and the next round. Opponent's fetches, explosives, that's a bit lame for us. Ragavan as well. Playing your own Ragavan into the explosives? That's questionable. Alright, so we can't really attack here. Our opponent won't ever activate explosives. Although I guess they're going to get the attack value in with Ragavan as well. Maybe we just trade now. I don't like this. We definitely should have boarded in Sanctifiers as well. That's a huge opportunity missed. I don't know what I was thinking. Alright, let's let Ragavan go unchecked. I can't be like top decking to no light pause and expect to get out of this spot. Opponent gets their own Bogle, potentially. Well, at least they're not getting auras. Secretly, they might think that's good, but they don't know the last card in our hand. Now they do. Alright, we're pretty doomed. That's a sucky one. Sure. We'll see if we get any damage in against our opponent whatsoever, or if they preemptively blow this up. Oh man, Bowmasters, instant speed, that's a bit sucky for us. Alright, so damage goes through, Rancor to hand, Sentinel's Eyes to the bin, Bowmasters off the table. Yeah, I think we lose this from sideboarding wrong. That's really poor on my part. Alright, opponent with this fella, no discard effects currently. We have an answer for explosives, but it would cost Rancor. We probably just do this in our opponent's turn. Possibly before they get more value off the Urza Saga trigger. Alright, we'll go after Saga, explosives, just deny that life gaining thing. They don't activate Saga in response, interestingly enough. Alright, off the back of 6 damage, he may discard a card. They choose not to discard, 1 in hand. Interesting. Trigger there. Oh, they find another one of our Bogles. Man, our like active draws are just dying here. Shouldered. Okay. Alright, I'll concede to that. That's fine. We break, but we miss-sideboarded, so that's on us. Okay, welcome back for match number 3, everyone. We lost at arrow of visiting a flow here. This hand is a keep, although albeit a 1-lander. Versing Tron. We need light pause to work against Tron. Opponent also a keep of 7. That's disgusting. Alright. Man, Urza's mine. Did our opponent just have actual Tron without having to do any work for it whatsoever? I haven't seen a map, a star, an ancient stirring, Sylvan scrying, any of that. That's pretty bloody ridiculous. Alright, let's hope maybe it's Khan the Great Creator and we can kill afterwards or something. I don't know. I don't know what we're playing to here as an out. I definitely think playing Light Pause is the right play though. It could get like Khan minus killed. Maybe they're just a Worm Coil hand or something and we can get past them, possibly. We're still like not in a position to turn 3 kill ever this game. We're missing 1 land. We're missing an Ethereal Armor from hand. It's a bit of a shame. Saga map. Okay. So our opponent has stumbled a turn. That is good news for us. finding the tower that time. Seems weird. Or are they going to use the saga to get the map all along? That seems like weird sequencing. Wouldn't you turn 1 this in that spot? Alright, so we find a grist spoon off the top. Let's just start loading up. I think this one gets Rancor, and then our next one can get Ethereal Armor. We'll Rancor the Bogle over this side. Still getting in for like a decent attack here. Alright, attack for 13. I think it's probably unnecessary going for Hyena Umbra there. I think we just want the damage. I think we want the recursion on Rancor. If our opponent blows up our Emperor, we can get Rancor back from the grave, and then Griftspoon, Rancor attacking the air for the win. Opponent with 1 ring, buying a turn. 5 in hand, which is terrifying. 6 after the active. And plays Khan the Great Creator. I'm assuming we can still attack and hurt Planeswalkers. I could be wrong there. We will find out. This one will obviously get Ensnaring Bridge, unless like they're that far ahead they don't need it, I guess. Alright, there we are. Our opponent's got explosives as opposed to Ensnaring Bridge, which is bizarre. Does not make a huge amount of sense to me. So let's go ahead, we'll attack the Khan, see if that kills it. Maybe it has protection, I'm not entirely certain. Cool, that's off the table. If we want to hedge around explosives on 2 by playing Griftspoon, I think Griftspoon in hand is probably more valuable. Did draw on the ley line there as well. So keeping Griftspoon in hand is good for like explosives on 2, blowing up Light Paws over Bogle. Opponent also currently doesn't have any coloured mana, which means they can't actually cast explosives as it stands. They can star into it, they can map into the forest, they can do, you know, multiple ways to get it, but they do need to do work to do that. So there's a saga here. Opponent did get the chromatic sphere, so now they can cycle for coloured. And engineered explosives is played. Did our opponent play that on 0? That's a misplay. They've like floated 1 colourless mana, but they need to sack the sphere there. So I guess our opponent's new to Magic Online, is misclicking. Just throwing that one into the bin, removing their own blocker. Yeah, it's probably tilt at this point. 1 ring active. Yep, okay, our opponent conceded the match. So a little bit fortunate there with the misplays potentially helping us out a significant amount there. There's still potential we win from that position with Griftspoon onto Light Paws, getting, you know, Ethereal Armor, and then that's like, what, 6 damage? 5, 6 damage? Something like that. So here is a copy of our opponent's deck. We know what Tron does. It goes big. They've got the big chunky Planeswalkers. They've got the 1 rings now. Still Ugin the Spirit Dragon, Ulamog, Kozilek. In the sideboard, they've got tutorable stuff with Khan the Great Creator, as we saw in the previous match. Haywire Mites, Walking Ballistas, Stone Brains, Engineered Explosives, as we just saw previously, Cityscape Leveler, you know, all that good stuff. We're not really going to be playing around Dismember. I think that's narrow if our opponent uses that against us. Alright, so we've got a huge amount of stuff that is good in this matchup, and we've also stolen game 1 due to fortunate circumstances. Obviously the Stony Silence type effects, the Collector Roofs, very good here. The Gadok Tig shutting off the Planeswalker side of things against their opponent's deck. Force of Vigor things getting back under control when they get things like Ensnaring Bridge out. Leyline of Sanctity, dead card here. Light Paws, we're going to efficiency swap these other creatures in so these can come out. And then Spirit Mantle is just a little bit inefficient for what it does. On the play game 3, I will actually take out the Daybreak Coronets over the Light Paws, because the Light Paws turn 3 kill is another avenue to victory in this matchup. This hand is a keep. We're missing a land drop. We have Totem Armor, which is nice as well though, and we have like 1/2 of our shutting our opponent off. Opponent has mulligan to 6 cards, Tower Map. Now it's possible Oof is going to be a turn too slow here. We'll just have to see how our opponent's hand plays out. Beautiful. They've got the Forest. Cracking Map, Sorcery Speed. Interesting. For mine, we brick on land drop. That's pretty lame on our end. Alright, let's give Totem Armor down onto the battlefield. Attack for 2. Our opponent's still another turn off of Tron. Opponent plays Oblivion Stone. Alright, so we have to see land here. We miss on land. That sucks. Let's attack. Our opponent still can't activate this yet. Not unless they hit Tron mana. Alright, there's Tron mana. I'll be quiet. Sorcery Speed would be good for us. Sure, why not? Yeah, our opponent's very inexperienced if this is the line. I guess we'll take what we can get. I'm playing into Totem Armor as well. Have not been around long enough to experience the Scourge of Bogles. Beseiju off the top. I really feel like our opponent is just going to be... we can't really blow up our opponent's land. I feel like this is just going to be Planeswalker next turn, and this is going to be a dead play. I think we want to try for the upside, just because we're so far behind on white mana, on auras, on damage on board. Yeah, I don't love the spot we're in right now. This would have been much better if we resolved Oof on turn 2, and then none of this would have happened. Alright, so now we see Khan Daddy. Khan Daddy can get Bridge. Of course, it can just go for Explosives again, and who knows after that. Alright, so opponent goes for Explosives again. Explosives on 1. It's going to give us an avenue to kill Khan, or at least shut off another Minus activation. If they tap that land, if they... that's a Dismember on our Collector Roof, plus blow up board. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, what do we find? It's not really what we're looking for. In interest of, like, content, I'm going to just get rid of this one, go to a game 3. Tig off the top may have won it for us, but I probably would have cycled Canopy End Step, and then we would have been drawing to a land and missed. Alright, so as mentioned in the previous sideboarding, when we're on the play, we're going to bring Light Paws back in, a Daybreak Coronet out, and this is going to give us so many good turn 2 plays. It's ridiculous. Collector Roof turn 2, Gadok Tig, this is the dream. We'll keep. It's only bad against Natural Tron. And opponent on a mulligan to 5. They could just have the Natural Tron Dream, and like Collector Roof could do nothing, but Oof plus Tig should be really good against most of what they're going to do, up until they get to Ulamog mana, and then we're pretty stuffed. Chromatic Sphere, you love to see it. Bogle, you don't love to see it. We will keep that one as Force Pitch fodder, and we'll attack with our Bogle, with our Scout for 1. Oof, shutting off this guy. Alright, our opponent just 1 Tron land off of the Dream Crush Denial. We see Haywire Might off the top. Sure, so we'll play our Gadok Tig, and then we'll just attack with Collector Roof. Our opponent did show me Dismember in previous turns, so maybe we haven't shut them off like exactly as much as what we'd have wanted to. They do have to choose between 2 different options now though. Tig and Oof. And we haven't exactly like lit the world on fire with our pressure this game. So stumble on Tron land, yes, stumbled on Tron land, that's really good for us. Tig off the top. So Ethereal Armor Rancor will add 2 toughness to the Collector Roof, taking up to 4 toughness. It's not quite enough to like get it past what our opponent could do with Dismember. I think we just, yeah, load up on the Scout, attack with everything, and we should be putting our opponent under the most pressure this way without just folding to a Dismember. If they had Dismember, they may have Dismembered during their turn to cycle Sphere, get that Tron mana off of the green. Oblivion Stone can't be activated. Lovely. Okay, we just spike the Ethereal Armor off the top, and that's going to be an attack for victory. Beautiful. Alright, so Batman and Robin did their thing this match, and, you know, we smacked on through. Yep. Potentially fortunate on our opponent misplaying in match number 1. I guess we'll take that and move on to the 4th match. Alright, so match number 4 here. We have lost the die reversing Arnard. We see the 7. The 7's a keep. No double white. No first strike outside of Daybreak Coronet, but definitely above the average 7. Catch a Triumph deck. Does that mean Domain or does that mean Rhinos? I think it means Rhinos. Oh, come on, deck. Leyline of Sanctity is not what we want to see in either of those matchups. We just see Island. That puts me in unfamiliar territory. Ice. So ice probably means Rhinos then. That's fine. Ethereal Armor off top. It's not a bad one. However, it is not currently castable. We do get an attack for 3 with our Rancored Scout though. Alright, so our opponent has Shocked in Esteem Vents. This stinks of Violent Outburst, so guess we're versing Rhinos. We do hit the Razorverge Thicket, so this is potentially playing into a counterspell effect. That would put them a turn further behind on Rhinos though, so we're definitely playing the Daybreak Coronet no matter what. Cool. Now we get to attack. Although if we attack here, the second Rhino will kill our Scout, so we can't actually attack currently. Ice on our Forest there? Maybe we could have attacked. Lorien Revealed. Funky. And our opponent on Shardless Agent now, so that's fine. We're happy to see that. Revealed cards here. Make that a touch bigger for you all. This looks like a pretty standard list. We do see Flames of Anor though. Opponent holding up mana to the side. Ethereal Armor. Does Ethereal Armor resolve? Do you have interaction? Alright, I'm happy about our position this match now. So there's potential for a Leyline Binding interaction. Our opponent does not currently have white mana though. We'll take this opportunity to play our Bogle, laughing at that third copy of Leyline of Sanctity, second one stuck in hand. Opponent attacking with Rhinos. It's bad if we block and there's double bounce. Double bounce hurts us anyway. We're at a really safe life total. I don't see a huge reason to throw that away through opponents' like interaction. We'll gain more than that life back and go to 30 on our next attack anyway. Alright, our opponent conceded the match. Okay, so I believe we saw a Murktide Regent from our opponent there. It looks like that's a splash is only a 1 or 2 of. There are many different configurations that Rhino uses. So I've pulled up a list that has the Murktide as a definitive like differential card. So we can see interaction of Force of Negation, Bone Crusher Giant for our creatures, shiny Trickbinder, we can see Dead Gone, we can see that Fire Ice there we saw in the match, Flames of Anor there, Blood Moon in the sideboard, Fury in the sideboard, Force Vigor in the sideboard. Alright, that's a fair bit of hate. Now, some people do, myself included in the past, use Chalice of the Void on 0 against some Rhinos. But against Rhinos specifically, I think it's a favoured matchup mostly. That and we expect them to board in Force of Vigor, so like really it's a dead card. It does cost like a little bit of tempo, but I think mostly it's a good matchup, and Chalice isn't worth the dedicated sideboard slot. So Sanctifier Infect seems like an efficiency swap for Light Paws. It helps play around that fire effect, that Dead Gaunt that can kill it. We do want Force of Vigor as a card against their Blood Moon. Leyline of Sanctity is dead, so it's likely keeping 1 Light Paws, 3 Light Paws out, 3 Leyline of Sanctity out. I don't really think we want Solitude. I don't see a reason why that would be incorrect either, to leave that in the sideboard. See a Sanctifier hand here. This is pretty strong. We'll keep this. Especially against the Murktide Regent variants. The Sanctifier Infect like gives added value, is shutting them off. Or like delaying the Murktide, making it smaller. See high number off the top as well. Opponent likely to ice a land down. Or not. Interesting. What does that mean? This deck doesn't run actual counterspell. It can't. I think we just get to resolve our cards here. If Ethereal Armor gets countered... Yeah, okay. Force of Negation, pitching Subtlety. Then we will resolve our second First Strike effect. Make sure at least we have one copy of First Strike on our creature. Attacking for 2. Yeah, no, like, after, what was that, the game 2, where I didn't side this in against the Rakdos player, I'm just going to board this in at every, like, opportunity, right? No, that's definitely not why I did it, but, you know, hopefully entertaining. Trium in tapped. Opponent's turn 3, Breeding Pool in tapped now. It's interesting. Yeah, I love to see Ascendal's Eyes. What are you going to do about Audacity, opponent? We got more force effects. I am intentionally casting the Audacity here over the Rancor. Yeah, sure. Let's see what they say about Rancor now. I do think the Rancor is the more valuable card in the matchup, but I did expect Trample to be countered. As it is, we've resolved both. We're attacking for 6. Our opponent could also have a Force of Vigor. Still, our like creature in its current state is in a reasonable spot against Force of Vigor. We're not attacking into like a block blowout or anything like that. So we get a card draw off of the Audacity as well. And we do see a Temple Garden, interestingly enough. Oh wait, what? More action? Beseiju? Lol. That's really bad doing that with Beseiju, opponent. Sure, we'll get a basic Plains. That'll help play around Blood Moon. And then we're just going to jam this Sanctifier second main. Interestingly enough, that does like nothing against Murktide. Maybe I should have reconsidered that. I feel like there's a Murktide coming with how they've played. Nope, looks like Shardless Agent. Protection from black-red, not amazing here. Currently, Light Paws would be a million times better, so please roast me in the comments on how this was a bad decision. Okay, this is looking pretty dicey. Yeah, more land is really not what we're looking for. No copies of First Strike at the moment. Pretty sad for us. I think our opponent has officially transitioned to being the beatdown. I think I'll happily trade the Sanctifier for a Rhino. Let's go ahead and attack as is. The Shardless Agent does not trade with it. If they block with Rhino, that's 4 power off the table. We can load up our Scout to the side. Interesting. So you're on 16. It's just like playing for me to miss block. Alright, so Trample 1, Rancor to hand. We can escape this one. Interestingly enough, we can't like scout and stuff, so I guess we get this stuff under counter magic. I think that's well worth taking a Rhino off the table. I may even trade this scout with a Rhino during our opponent's turn, because we've got the follow-up one in hand. Alright, so no land drop from our opponent, straight into attacks here. So not playing around Force of Vigor. Beseiju could be good against us. Looks like their deck runs 1 copy of Beseiju, or at least this one we're looking at. I think this is a reasonable block. It's bad if we top deck First Strike Aura, and then they like Subtlety, a Glade Cover Scout or something like that. That's a lot of tempo lost. I think Denial is reasonable though. Daybreak off the top. Alright, so do we get like Uber punished for our greedy line? Doesn't look like it so far. Escaping again. So we have a choice to make. Our opponent's got cards in hand. Daybreak being played now plays into Force for Vigor. Or Vigor, like destroying these two. Daybreak falls off. But it plays around Blood Moon. So I guess we just play around Blood Moon. If they had Force of Vigor, maybe they would have decided to have done things differently. with like reckless attacks and things like that, although maybe they weren't expecting the third hexproof creature. It looks like Flames to draw 2 cards. Opponent does not have any wizards. So opponent does draw 2 cards. Oh man, the blowout. Force of Vigor. They do leave Rancor in our guy. I guess it's not like an uber blowout. Attacking with Shardless Agent. Does this mean another Cascade effect? That's pretty bad for us. I think only Daybreak will beat another Cascade effect here. Violent Outburst, sure. Here we can see all our opponent's fun cards. Interestingly enough, they keep the Mystical Disputes against us. It's pretty gross for like if we have a Bogle hand, right? No copies of Blood Moon. That's pretty bloody good. Alright, so where there's a will, there's a way. Our opponent's down to 1 card in hand. Wait, we can't escape that one. Alright, so we are facing 10 damage on the attack. If we attack with our creature, our opponent double blocks with Rhino tokens. The second one kills our scout, so we can't do that. We can actually attack in and just like play around everything except Violent Outburst, Fire. Alright, here is the Alpha Strike. I don't feel like I'm playing around any more interaction at this point. If our opponent has us with interaction, that's a shame. That was 0 cards in hand. This is literally top decked. Alright, sure. So they beat us on that one. So we didn't see any Blood Moon. Sanctifier was like obscenely weak that game. Guess we just bored that out for Light Pause, or maybe like 1 Sanctifier for Light Pause. I don't like the duplicate, but in these long grindy games, like Light Pause would have literally have won us that match there instead of Sanctifier. So let's assume our opponent has interaction. It's good for rebuilding afterwards. We'll keep this. It's 1 lander, a couple of auras, a Light Pause, a piece of interaction. Seems pretty good. We'll lead on the scout on the Slippery Bogle as well to play around potential Mystical Disputes. Water Foothills, no other play. Seems reasonable for what our opponent decks normally does. Land off the top would be lovely. That is a land off the top. Question is Light Pause now or get aggressive with auras. I think I like Light Pause, although maybe we just play a little bit patient. Like 1 aura off a poor value for our opponent. If we top deck land, we can get some fun stuff happening with Light Pause. This means Light Pause needs to get Spider Umbra to play around removal, or maybe we top deck an aura and we Ethereal Armor on Light Pause. A little bit of a funny spot there. Nature's Claim, not Loreen revealed. Yeah, no, they can't Nature's Claim in a Cascade deck. Finding Island. Alright, we break on auras. Does mean that we can Light Pause into Ethereal Armor though. I'll just tap my mana correctly. Ethereal Armor can actually hit the Light Pause here, which could be kind of nice. Seems not super aggressive though. Alright, so if we look at our deck list here, we can't get Hyena Umbra, we can't get Ethereal Armor, we've got the choice between Griff Spoon, Sentinel's Eyes, Audacity, Spider Umbra, and Rancor. I think I like keeping Light Pause around, potentially. It's bad against like Force of Vigor. Okay. We'll just tap that white mana, shall we? I think we do this. I think we get Rancor. It plays around a few things, gives us good redundancy. Our opponent just has Force of Negation, pitching Fire Ice. Alright, so now it's just an attack for 2 from us. Interestingly enough, they did pitch a card which answers Light Pause, so they might have another effect like that. Plays the known island, same artwork. Any aura off the top, please, deck. That's not an aura off the top. Guess we sack this, see what we find. God, the deck is literally killing me at the moment. No good attacks. Yeah, we've had 4 draws and haven't hit a single aura, so that's pretty pogs. Can't attack into, you know, a bunch of angry rhinos, so we'll just ignore that for the moment. 8 cards revealed this time. See Violent Outburst, Shardless Agent, Mystical Dispute, Rhinos. 3 in hand for our opponent. I'm assuming there's the interaction and we've not been able to like punish our opponent here. We can Besage a white source to deny some stuff for our opponent. So taking an attack for 8, that'll put us to 11. It feels like they've got a second Cascade effect. Of course, we a brick on auras again. I don't think we beat a second Cascade effect. They could just be holding up Hardcast, Force of Vigor. I just don't really think we can do much here. We'll leave this as a pitch card for our own Force of Vigor against a Blood Moon, but this Force of Vigor seems weak as heck as well. Alright, so opponent's attacking. We're not dead to this attack. We're dead to this attack. Plus our opponent can potentially like do double fire effect against us. When they pass priority from attackers there, maybe I was supposed to Besage you the Triome. Look, I don't really like blocking here either. I think if we baited with the Besage you and they floated red mana, they shot our face, we'd get better information. We go to 3, dead to 2, like fire effects. Should we just get this out of our hand? Sure, why not? When it taps for green mana, is that like a force effect? Finds Breeding Pool. It looks like our opponent doesn't have white mana in their deck. Let's that fade. That's an aura. Can we avoid dying though? That's the bigger question. So this here, let's assume our opponent has no interaction. If they have a Force of Vigor, we can't beat it. So we're going to do this. We're going to get Ethereal Armor. We're going to ignore any sort of like creature removal that kills Light Wars. We're going to have a Vigilance attack. We're going to have a block with like Bogles Scout, which puts us to 1. Yeah. Really weak to like a Brazen Borrow or Petty Theft here. Just has the Force of Vigor this whole time, ditching a Crushing Footfalls. Okay, so we're in for 2 damage. That's not us dead though, we can reload. Opponent with Mystical Dispute on this one. Sure. That's not the spell they really want to counter, although I guess they can't really counter the Sentinel's Eyes because we can just recast that as well. So now the Sentinel's Eyes has to go on our Slippery Bogle. Then we have 2 blocking creatures. We block, go to 2. Trigger Hyena Umbra. Just another Force of Vigor again? Are you fucking kidding me? Mono Force of Vigor deck here we're versing. Okay, well that's going to be game. Maybe the Force of Vigor was an overboard. It's hard to say exactly without having seen our opponent's deck. If they're running Blood Moon, it could be really important. But without the Blood Moon, I guess like Sanctifiers are a bit better. I don't really like any of these cards. So I guess Force of Vigor is fine unless we want to Solitude or we want to keep Leyline of Sanctity in to stop our opponent going face. So that's like a Force of Negation and 2 Force of Vigors is interaction. By turn 6, it's a lot of interaction. Match number 5, winning the die roll versus Mick Anaconda. No creature hand, so we mulligan. So only got 1 land, 1 light pause. This is also a mulligan. Opponent has gone to 6 as well. Oh my god, can we get a creature? What the hell is this? Alright, we're down to 5. We'll keep this. Bottom. Guess we can bottom the forest and then bottom the ley line. Hope our opponent doesn't have too much interaction. This is, yeah, reasonable 4. Maybe the same 4 with like ethereal plus Sentinel's Eyes would have been a touch better. Are we really going to get settled here? Oh, thank God. My goodness. I was going to say, Windswept Teeth passed to us. We hit a 2-mana aura, which is not very aggressive. Let's try and get ethereal armor under like what could be a counterspell, maybe. Sure, attack for 2. End step, we see Triome. This could just be Rhinos again. I don't really like where we're at here. Oh, okay, it's Cascade Stalk. Gotcha. I mean, it could be Cascade Stalk. It could just be an elemental Beanstalk deck. Mana, sure, we'll play it as efficient as possible, despite our stumble and our mulligans. And Spirit Mantle resolves. We attack for 4. Nice. So it looks like our opponent plays a bit of a rainbow of decks. We can see Scam. We can see Grixis control list as well. So I'm just going to assume this is Cascade Beanstalk. Wow, this deck runs Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. That's a pretty wild. I don't see any main deck Force of Vigors, so we might be able to sneak a win here. Hey, yes. 1 mana aura. Let's go. Absolutely rewarded. This is going to be an attack for 8. Put our opponent to 3, a virtual 2. Then they've got to interact with like Spirit Mantle and chain together like some good blocks. Alright, opponent fetches Zagoth Triome. Solitude as a card draw effect. They can't block. We've got protection from creatures, so they can't assign blockers. 6 in hand for our opponent. They're down to 2 life. Leyline of Binding. Go away, opponent. Nobody likes your tricks. 1 mana Leyline. This is likely going to take out the Spirit Mantle. Be good if we can find like a Rancor or a Griff Spoon, something like that off the top. This is Sorcery Speed Leyline as well. They might be looking for, you know, a land drop or something. They need to go land plus Cascade trigger here. Cascade creature, pardon me. So it needs to be land and Shardless Agent. Fury. Unless they've got like some Undying effect for this, but I don't believe so. Exiled cards of Solitude and Bloodbraid Elf. I don't see the land drop. Forest. Is this Shardless Agent? It is Shardless Agent. So presumably this is going to hit another Beans. Yeah, we see Beanstalk. We see Teferis. We see Omnath. We see Fire Ice. Okay. It's a dead drawer off the top. I don't see a huge point in playing out this Hyena Umbra. I guess we leave it in hand. Alright, so opponent played a land, go on to end step. It feels like Solitude. I'll cycle Horizon Canopy here. It does shut us off of our 1 of Spirit Mantle from ending the game. We do find the Griff Spoon, so that's going to be really nice. We'll just cast that. They need Force of Negation now, and they can hard cast Solitude as a chump blocker. Alright, here comes the Solitude, potentially trying to draw to Force of Negation. This one has been evoked, exiling Elesh Norn. We see Griff Spoon resolve. Fire Ice, like, tapping a Hyena Umbra to draw a card. Tapping to draw a card. Yeah, I think we get the victory here, game 1. Opponent concedes, so let's go. Alright, so I've just changed to, what, Moxfield instead here. I was doing a quick Google search on ones that run Elesh Norn. Our opponent's deck had Elesh Norn in the main deck. This one has it in the sideboard. It just like doubles up on triggers. It's fine. It's pretty strong against most things, right? The main deck, we can see like some spicy Elder Deep Fiend. That's pretty wild. Bloodbraid, Fury, Omnath, Shardless Agent, Solitude. We don't really care about too much of that. Supreme Verdict could be an issue. Leyline of Binding could be an issue. Destroying our lands could be an issue. We see potential for Chalice of the Void, Force of Vigors. That's most of what we care about. So here we have a choice. Force of Vigor is good against our opponent's Leyline Bindings. Solitude is good against their creatures. Force of Vigor also hits the Beanstalk. Potential if they have any like Chalice of the Voids, Engineered Explosives. Force is good as well. Solitude can answer a big chunky creature after it resolves. I think we just bring in the Force of Vigors, Leyline of Sanctity out. I don't think we want Sanctifier over Light Paws. I think with the interaction our opponent's likely to have with Force of Vigor, we're probably going to want to bank on getting some card value. Opponent mulls to 6. Got interaction here. We've got Light Paws. That's dead to Fury. That's dead to Dead Gauns. I think we have to mulligan to a Bogle hand. Of course, we did win on a mulligan to 4 there, by the way. Just in case anyone forgot. Yep, so we're going to go to at least 5. Anyone would think I've boarded out all my creatures. Hey, alright. Back down to 4 cards. Can we do it? Yep, we got evasion, we got some power, we got a land and a creature. That's all we need, right? Looks really bad when our opponent force negates something and then we just draw dead. Rancor is great. Rancor is not drawing dead. Another Rancor off the top. Alright, so in the interest of being aggressive, playing around like Force of Vigor, let's load up on Rancor for now. This could be a Force of Negation. Maybe they've got... I mean, Mystical Dispute does nothing here. Okay, looks like we just get in. They're just saving time on their fetches. Alright, here's Shardless Agent. What sideboard cards has their opponent brought in? We can see Leyline Binding, Fury, Fire Ice, Force of Vigor. Alright, so they brought in Force of Vigor that we know about. They've kept in, you know, Fire Ice, Fury stuff. Hey look, this looks pretty good. 5 in hand. Our opponent could have a Force of Vigor. Let's pretend they don't, or else, like, inevitability, our opponent will win the long game. Wow, we get 3 on damage. That's pretty nice for us. Bloodbraid Elf. Okay, don't mind that. So this one hits Teferi Time Raveler. Interesting. See, they've skipped past another Force of Vigor, so that's 2 not in hand now, although one of them could have been reshuffled to literally the top card. This can bounce. Bounce is pretty good against us because we're behind on tempo with our lands. I think we just ignore Teferi, and if we hit land drop, we do not hit land drop. Well, we just go face. Our opponent's at 9 life. Threaten them like to a virtual 4. Concede to Force of Vigor. Alright, we faded Force of Vigor for another turn. Opponent's at 6. Plus on Teferi, I mean, potential Supreme Verdict. We can't play around that though. We don't have Totem Armor on our guy, so... this in tapped. Feels like hardcast Force of Vigor. If we do this, like Rancor Ethereal, we put our opponent to a guaranteed 1 with follow-up a Spirit Mantle. That seems pretty good. This is only bad against exactly like Force of Negation plus Force of Vigor. What are we tapping for here? I mean, it's not even that bad. It just doesn't give us the win. Alright, our opponent scoops out of frustration and we're sitting nicely at 2 and 3. I definitely think we could have beat that scam player if we boarded more, you know, correctly with the Sanctifiers over potentially the Force of Vigors, particularly while on the play. Maybe that argument's there to be made. So I hadn't been liking for a while the Besages on like 2 copies in the main deck. I found like mostly it's pretty rare that I active, pretty rare that I draw it. So I did want to up the Force of Vigors to a count of 3. That being said, like when we boarded it in, we did actually see it in our hand, which was a nice change to previous leagues, both on and off camera. I think Leyline of Sanctity in the main deck has been like okay. It's not been a standout performer or anything. There's potential for Subtlety to be in that slot, like maybe even Path to Exile if you don't, sorry, not Subtlety, Solitude to be in that slot. Path to Exile, something like that. some of these main deck cards as sideboard cards as main deck interaction. Mostly it's going to be removal. It's going to be your Leyline of Sanctities. In the past, we have also done Suppression Field as like an absolute blast from the past as well. I don't think we're like quite at Suppression Field being a good thing, but you know, it interacts with fetch lands, it interacts with One Ring activations. Some of what Tron does, like our Expedition map, but not the Chromatic Sphere or Star, because those do count as mana abilities. It's good against Yawgmoth, you know. Something to keep in mind, but I don't think we're quite there. I think I'm happy with the ley lines. I think I'm happy with, like, I'm not like so happy with leyline main deck that I want all 4 copies in there though, if that makes sense. I want that extra aura density. I don't think we've gone like too thin on the sideboard. The only other card to potentially make an argument for in the sideboard is that Endurance slot, potentially over the Stony Silence slot. Endurance being good against specifically Living End if you're expecting to verse a lot of Living End decks. Mostly I think, yeah, like having that Stony Silence option against Scam, splitting that and the Collector Roof seems nice. Maybe it should just all be Stony Silence, because Scam can be a pretty horrible matchup, but Oof is better against Tron in my opinion. I'm going to think on that. Maybe I should just go all Stony Silences, because how many Tron decks play Force of Vigor? Yeah, like Tron decks are all in on like Haywire Might, right? Maybe Nature's Claim. I don't really think we're seeing Force of Vigor there. So I think the play is actually minus Collector Roof, as much as that pains me, because I love this card so much. And we'll go up on copies of Stony Silence. So this leaves us with a really, really nice plan against like Scam decks. We've got the Stony Silence to shut off the explosives. We've got Force of Vigor to deal with Blood Moon. We've got Leyline of Sanctity to deal with discard. I mean, if you want the redundancy of Solitude, but that's probably overboarding at that point. The only other card I think that should be like coming back into our thinking here at the moment is actually Dromoka's Command. And like obviously we don't have like that green-white infinite life Heliod deck running around at all at the moment. But there is Burn running around, and Burn is sideboarding Deflecting Palm against us, and that is an issue. I mean, like, creatures in Modern generally are just getting, like, bigger and bigger. So it gives more substance for these Burn decks to run Deflecting Palm. And if we're in a Burn-heavy meta, like, Dromoka's Command is great. So like Deflecting Palm will prevent the damage our creature will deal, even our hexproof creatures, because it does not target, it just names a card. So it'll name like specifically the one attacking, that's the biggest, prevent that damage, deal it back, and Dromoka's Command can just prevent that. It's pretty unlikely that our opponent will have like double Dromoka's Command, double Deflecting Palm as well, so like one Dromokan Command should mostly get them. They are also playing like some enchantments at the moment, so that could be a nice little hedge there. Alright, so that's going to be it from me today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to let me know down below. What do you think about this sideboard tech that I'm pulling out? It's pretty wild. It's pretty different to where the deck was a while ago, but I think there's a large amount of merit and substance behind it. Yeah, as always, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.